here coming to you live from Honeypath, South Carolina. I hope y'all are having a blessed day, man. Good to see you here. I will give y'all fine people a moment to pop in as I find what I did with my cafe. Hold on. Okay. So, welcome one and all. A coffeeholic sometimes. Whenever y'all find people pop in here, I will just ask if you don't mind. Give us a thumbs up if you can see and hear me. That way I will know I don't need to worry about AV issues. Um, and by the way, I am fully aware how crappy the quality of that stream I did earlier was. Even the audio that finally did record is just unbearable. So, in terms of, and I did spend a bit of time locating that file and getting my hands back on it and then remastering it. And then for whatever reason through Riverside, it's just the audio quality is just through the crapper. But I am rendering the remix file now, so it's about a third of the way done. It'll probably be done tonight. Would it be co-op? Yeah, man. It'll like so like that remix will end up getting taken down. Um, because there's copyright. There's like a label issue where nobody can monetize it because there's conflicts in the labels, and so the Chemical Brothers just said no, nobody can see it worldwide, which is crazy, dude, crazy. But I will be posting it up, and what I may end up doing if they do take it down, then I might put it up in two segments, so at least like up to the point where they want to remove the damn whole entire thing for like 5 seconds of a damn remix. Can you believe it? Anyways, welcome. I guess it's morning now. Good morning. We are, well, at least on the East Coast, right? Um, Working title of this is going to be like the opposite of cognitive dissonance, right? So like cognitive harmony, maybe. And before we do start, just a moment of silence and prayers for our friends and loved ones over there in SoCal, man. I hope y'all are. I hope they're all faring well, man. I mean, think we've thought we've seen it all, right, in 2024 with Lahaina and everything, right? But from what I can tell, and I've never been to California, but entire chunks of LA are just gone to wildfires. And you know, the thing about wildfires is they usually happen in the wild, right? Hence the name, like wildfire. What a coincidence! Like such a strange coincidence. I'm not sure how that works out so fittingly, right? But the wildfires usually happen in the wild, don't they? So it is just a bit strange that we're having wildfires in residential areas. It does make you wonder if the smart meters have anything to do with this. Um, we did see news articles where a lot of people were laughing, like they thought it was kind of funny that the, I guess like the Mossad or whatever, IDF, I'm not sure who did it, but they blew up everybody's pager somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where they did that, but like they killed a bunch of innocent kids and stuff because they just blew up the batteries remotely and all kinds of people's pagers. And so it just makes you wonder, you know, if this wasn't some sort of a zoning thing where they're trying to turn LA into a smart city in the next 50 years or whatever, um, like what, are we under attack? Because, you know, if the governor is going on X saying it's wild conspiracy theories and lies that these are directed energy weapon attacks. So if that's true, so if they aren't responsible for it because they want that property and it's just too expensive to buy everybody's homes, and a lot of people would never sell their homes, right? Especially if you own the damn thing outright. I mean, it does. It makes you wonder if they are. What are they going to sell all the land to Oprah and The Rock too? Right? You know what I mean? Like, uh, so that. Oh my God, you almost just fell right through the fucking window.
These cords are everywhere.
Okay.
See?
Yeah, I know. You got to go under it. Please don't knock my Xbox off the wall.
I'm not.
No, you're. Oh my God. I'm live streaming.
See? Trying to get to the bathroom.
Okay. Well, I'm still live streaming and everybody can hear you. So. Let me get some thumbs. There's 80 all there, only one thumb. Unless there's a bunch of quadriplegics in my stream right now. Let me see some thumbs. I mean, if you can see and hear me. So how about that? How about that Jeranism, huh? Let me go shut my door. Hold on. Always something, huh? So how about that? Jeranism? Wow, that's a real piece of work. The reason that I named or subtitled this stream "Cognitive Harmony" is because, you know, one of the most difficult things to deal with this day and age, in the age of revelation, is cognitive dissonance, right? Dean Lingley says Jaron is being very negative. Yeah, indeed. So, like, cognitive dissonance, what is that? Well, so if you have a bunch of beliefs, let's say, and then those beliefs are challenged by facts that are presented to you or made obvious to you somehow, when these facts disagree with your beliefs, a lot of people will fall into what's called cognitive dissonance. And so they will just kind of ignore facts and reject facts in place or in preference for beliefs or theories. And so cognitive dissonance involves where your mind is unable to function properly because what you believe doesn't jive with reality, basically. And so the only way to get through chronic systemic cultural cognitive dissonance that we have is for each individual to prove all things to yourself, right? And that's one of the most profound and important changes, I think, that each of us goes through when we come to terms with the flat earth truth, is that we can't trust the science. We can't trust the opinions of experts. We can't trust the conventional wisdom, and we can't trust everything that we necessarily learned in federal education curriculum. And once we start proving things for ourselves, instead of taking other people's words for it, and recognizing things like confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance, and only deal with things that we can prove for ourselves, it is quite liberating, I think, because especially under the duress of the heliocentric model, we're sort of forced to take science's word for things and take experts' opinions as gospel. And, you know, especially when it comes to the theoretical physics, which is an oxymoron. Theoretical physics is a contradiction in terms. But when it comes to that, things that are beyond the capacity of any normal, regular person to verify or demonstrate or falsify, right? So like light years distant stars and things like that. When our beliefs are married to, you know, non-demonstrable, non-falsifiable pseudoscience that has been presented to us since we were little kids as, a known fact, um, it is sort of the standard operating protocol for people to engage in really quite severe cognitive dissonance. Dude, what is that? Hold on, like there's something over there. I don't know. Oh well. Um, okay. But man, when you when you finally come to terms with this truth, there is no sort of question about it, right? Like, yeah, at first, like it is something that seems quite unbelievable, right? And it's something that we would never really think to humor even as a hypothetical possibility in a million years, right? But when you actually do, and if you actually sort of set a standard to, well, first be honest with yourself, don't be ashamed to ask questions, don't be afraid to humor arguments that you don't agree with, just for the sake of argument, right? And ultimately to prove all things for yourself. And if you do this, and if you skeptically, revisit this thing that is our cosmology and the foundation for our entire paradigm at large, what we were led to believe as little kids and what we all hold fast to as our understanding of, the world and infinite space comes crashing down around us. And, once you have that realization, there's no way that any logical person can ever be reconvinced again that they live, stuck to the side of a spinning ball flying around in space. And so when you see people, not going to say any names, but when you see people that have been promoted and supported and really elevated and put on a pedestal by lots of people, man, and given a lot of passes on things that, a lot of people wouldn't get away with. But that's sort of what happens with a lot of people, is like we let people get away with so much, and now all of a sudden we have people pulling a Tiger Dan. And if you don't know what pulling a Tiger Dan is, Nathan Thompson is having a meetup in Greenville tomorrow. Yeah, for sure, man. As long as I am welcome, I'll be there. You got to tell me where it is, but I'm not far from Greenville. And I did get my car back, and I have a little gas in the car too. So just let me know where it's going to be at, and I'll be there, man. I would just go there right now if I could. I'm so bored, man. But once you're able to break through the cognitive dissonance and get through the programming that we were all subjected to, it is such a liberating relief, right? It like, and it unlocks something in us. I think it unlocks a part of us that was dormant, part of us that doesn't take bullshit, right? Like we're not just going to accept bullshit because people might think we're weird if we question something, right? And so when you have this new mindset, this new understanding that entire empires of science and education and NASA, space travel, entire empires are run by a fucking emperor that has not only no clothes, but like he's running around with like fucking Christmas ornaments on his nipples too, right? The emperor has no clothes, and he's running around with Christmas ornaments on his nipples. Like that's how bad the emperor is in this situation. But when it comes to the mainstream, like the 90% of people that have never really considered this, or like maybe the extent of their consideration of this topic is like, the knee-jerk reaction, scoffing at it like we all do. But for the 90% of people that have never looked into this, now that they have this sort of effigy, this straw man example of somebody pulling a Tiger Dan in 2025, honestly, because that's exactly what it is. So Tiger Dan 925 was a sort of a would you mind shutting that door?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Would you mind doing it now?
Yeah, I will. Overheated, okay? I'm really overheated, okay?
Can you sit down? Oh my God, I just spilled my coffee all over myself. It's like about 7 years ago, Tiger Dan was a British chap. And, he was a friend of the channel, man. And he had done a couple of videos. Like, some of his stuff was a bit questionable, though, man. He presented himself well, but the things that he said, like, rhymed with the truth, but like he was also kind of shilly if you actually paid attention to what he was saying. But it's not really cool to go, I don't know, picking on fellow flurfers, just because you disagree with their semantics. And maybe you're missing something that they understand and you don't understand, right? So you don't want to go picking on flurfers, right? But Tiger Dan, I don't know, 8 years ago, he basically concluded that the solar angles in the south, like as the solar azimuth in the southern summer solstice, didn't line up with an AE projection, right? And so basically, he concluded way back in like 2016 or so that the AE model was a hoax, and therefore flat Earth was debunked, right? And I have agreed with him there. The AE model is a hoax because the AE projection isn't a model, okay? And it never was. Yeah, it was definitely pushed as a model by a lot of people. And I may have mentioned that it was a model a few times way back in the beginning too, but one thing that I learned very early on when thoroughly researching how they've arrived at the different maps that we have, it became clear that the AE projection is not intended to be a model, and anybody that utilizes the AE projection as if it is a model is using the map wrong. Like, I know I use this analogy to death, but so the AE projection, the azimuthal equidistant projection, is a globe Earth theory flattened out onto like a Mercator projection. And I guess I should back up from the beginning. So where do they even get the latitude and longitude lines from to start with the globe model, right? So they get the latitude lines from observations of Polaris, okay? And so whatever the angle, whatever the elevation angle to Polaris is, that is more or less your latitude, okay? And longitude lines are also based on solar or stellar observations over time. So they, cartographers very painstakingly and methodically mapped out the areas in the north, historically, where all the civilizations were springing up and developing things like celestial navigation. And the northern hemisphere, or the central semi-plane, is very well mapped based on celestial navigation and nautical cartography, right? Okay, so you can take those maps and apply them to different matrices, right? Because it is a very big world that we live in, isn't it? I mean, we little people are like microscopic little, you know, I don't know, small, like not even ants compared to the world, right? We're like little, I don't know, fleas, smaller than fleas, even, you know? And so you can apply these different maps that are derived from uh, solar or celestial observations to different matrices, right? And so what they did was they took the um, latitude and longitude measurements in the north, okay, and they just clone stamped those values to the south, okay, and that's why you have the longitude lines in the south converging back into a point at the bottom of the ball. It's because they just took the values from the north and clone stamped them into the south. And that's why we have discrepancies that were reported by mariners trying to circumnavigate the far south. Okay, so basically, they took this idea of a globe that sort of has a lot of flaws cooked into it, but you would never realize those flaws until you were really surveying the far south. You would notice these discrepancies. But like in the north, the globe and the AE sort of model are very similar, right? But it is definitely in the south where the globe theory and the AE projection totally diverge wildly, is in the, below the equator, south of the equator, right? And so that is definitely where the mystery lies. Like, we're missing a lot of the puzzle pieces in the far south. Okay, so they took that assumed sphere, right, which again is very detailed surveying done in the north based on celestial observations and cartography, clone stamp those values to the different degrees of longitude at different latitudes in the south, just copy and pasted the values from the north. And so you have the bottom of the sphere only reified in the mathematics, right, or reified in the cartography. But the ancient, the mariners of the 1700s that were trying to circumnavigate the far south never could make their way all the way around of it, according to these accounts, the captain's logs, like Captain Cook and others. And so it is very interesting. But the point that I was getting to is, so they took this globe Earth reified mathematic model and then put it on the Mercator projection. Okay. And so the Mercator projection is a cylindrical conformal map, which is, it's mainly used for navigation. It's so like when you're traveling east to west, that's represented as a horizontal line. Okay. But as you gain distance from the equator of the Mercator projection, the relative sizes and distances between the land masses becomes more and more skewed. Okay, so like at the equator, the relative sizes and distances are most accurate, and the further north or south you travel from the equator, the more and more skewed the relative sizes and distances between the continental land masses get, to the point of infinity at either pole, right? So like the line across the top of the Mercator projection, or the line across the bottom of the Mercator projection, either of those is 90-degree north or 90-degree south line. Each of those is a single point, allegedly a single point, skewed and stretched to infinity, right? So the single point is represented by a line as long as the equator, right? So, that is very much quite damn as skewed as you can get, right? Is infinity, right? So, with that being said, the Mercator projection is no more a model of the globe, okay, than the azimuthal equidistant projection is a model of the flat Earth. Okay. So, but then one more step to go from the Mercator projection, which again is a globe reified from the math and from the observations of the stars in the north. They took the globe and mapped that out on the Mercator projection, cylindrical conformal map, skewed to infinity at the poles. And they took that and they mapped that out on the AE projection. And an AE projection, you know, the one that we're used to looking at, like the Gleason's map, the North Pole's in the center of that, right? But you can take any point and make any point the center of a azimuthal equidistant projection. And if you do that, then the entire periphery of the thing becomes skewed to infinity, right? And so, you know, people that start measuring east to west lines in the far south on an AE projection and saying certain flights are impossible on a flat Earth, they're trying to use the AE projection as if it's a model. I mean, it's not. They're absolutely misrepresenting or like misapplying what the intention of that map is. And you know, the argument that you know certain flights in the far south are impossible on a flat Earth would be like saying, you know, certain flights are impossible on a Mercator model, because you know, again, you've got the single point of say 90 degrees north, which is represented as a 25,000 mile line, you know, the same distance as the equator or the same length line as the equator. So if you were to start measuring distances in the 90 degrees north on a Mercator projection and debunking the globe based on that, you would be laughed out of the room, right? Because that's not how the Mercator projection was ever intended to be used, okay? And like the same exact sort of thing goes for the AE projection. So like with that being said, you know, there is a lot of use for the AE projection. And it definitely does, you know, show you how things could possibly work on a planar Earth, right? It shows you how certain concepts are not exclusive to a sphere, right? So like circumnavigation is not exclusive to a sphere. But if you start trying to debunk flat Earth based on problems with the AE model, then you've already got your head up your bung, dude, right? Honestly, like you're doing this all wrong. We should really start by direct measurement, which is to measure the Earth for curvature, and then try to find any evidence for supersonic, hypersonic motion of the Earth. Wait a minute. So Jaron did the math in his live stream last night. Something like 68 Home Depots end to end make a mile. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, yeah. I will try to find out where the meetup is, and I will try to be there. Hopefully, there's no cover charge. So basically, Jeranism, what I'm getting at here, people, is Jeranism pulled a Tiger Dan, which is really, that to me, that's crazy because, like, I know for a fact Jaron knows better. Like, and you know, people can believe whatever they want, but the language that he's using in his posts, like, it's almost this is a different person that I know, right? Because the dude that I used to know would never say none of the things that he's saying. Like, this is, to me, it's very obvious that he's being compromised, man. I mean, you know, and he can maybe try to make an argument that he didn't see this coming and he was played, and but honestly, I don't buy it for a second. You know, again, my position on that whole thing is even if their footage from Antarctica was true and real, their behavior leading up to the thing was just unbelievable, man. Like the first thing that really got under my skin was the amount of cross promotion and plugging that Jaron and others were doing of some of the most egregious globe Earth shills in the world, like bar none, hands down. Like some of the worst people that are just obviously deceivers and liars and just the worst. And these are the people that he just mentions like dozens and dozens and dozens of times in every stream that he does. And like if you watch these people's work, they can just never talk enough about just how great Jeranism is and how he's the only flat earther that really understands anything, and he's just a great guy. And like you hear them talk about themselves and just how noble they are. Like they were the only ones noble enough to go to Antarctica, and none of the other flurfers were noble enough, and we're all just a big cult of believers. Like that shit, dude, honestly, I can't believe he's saying that. I mean, that is strictly for the consumption of the mainstream, right? Like that is strictly for people stumbling onto this topic for the first time, because everybody knows the first three answers, the first three search results on Googling a thing, that is the de facto truth, right? So as long as 90% of people find the same first three top Google searches when they Google things like flat Earth Antarctica, for example, as long as they find a bunch of nonsense like the final experiment, that's all they're going for. They needed to sacrifice an effigy of flat Earth in the public spectacle so that they'd be able to point to it as, oh, flat Earth was debunked in 2025 by flat earthers who went to Antarctica. See, Antarctica does exist, and there aren't any guns, Nathan Oakley. Where are the guns, Nathan? And, Vapegate is definitely a big deal, but not because the dude vaped or because he brought a vape or because even so much that he faked the breath in Antarctica. It was his behavior around it. It was their behavior leading up to the whole thing where they were just plugging the crap out of egregious globe earth trolls and shills. They were going on public record on some of the name brand mainstream places making claims like there is no such thing as a 24-hour sun in the Antarctic, and if there is a 24-hour sun in the Antarctic, then the Earth couldn't be anything but a ball. Like when they were saying that shit like a year ago leading up to this, to me it kind of become obvious then. But something I keep mentioning is I had people warning me of exactly this sort of thing happening 6 or 7 years ago, man. And I'm not even exaggerating. Like, um, I must be blind because I never in a million years would have thought that Jaren would be cucking for the globe. So, wow, man. Uh, I just wanted to let you. Oh shit, my thing is rendering and my computer just went to sleep. So let me go wake it up before it fucks up my render. Hang on. Yeah, if anybody finds out where the meetup's going to be tomorrow, definitely send me a text. Shoot me an email, text. TheMorgile at Gmail works. Send me a text at 864-315-7892. I'm going to upload the remastered Fire Megamix as soon as it's done rendering, which will probably be another hour or two. And once that's up, just try to grab it if you're into the breaks, because YouTube will end up deleting it because of copyright issues. It's so stupid. Anyway, y'all, it is way past my bedtime. I wanted to apologize though for wasting everyone's time on that stream earlier, man. Like, I thought that was gonna work, and it was just a big train wreck. So I'm gonna have to figure out a better solution for AV, man. I don't know why I haven't thought of this earlier, but I think I'm just gonna go win the lottery, dude. Because then I can just buy a bunch of toys, and AV shit is not an issue if you got all the best toys. So that's the plan. I'm just gonna go win the lottery, and then we're golden bear. I will check in with y'all tomorrow, and what I'll probably do is instant premiere that Fire Mega Mix when it's ready. But like, I don't even know how long that damn thing will stay up. I may put it on my SoundCloud, but I can only host 3 songs at a time on SoundCloud without paying them. And I can't afford another monthly subscription right now, man. I'm just monthly subscription the fuck out to the point where I can't even afford the shit that I'm subscribed to now. So like, I just can't do a SoundCloud. That's why I'm not on Rumble either. Like, can you believe on Rumble, if you want to host content, like, you can stream and upload videos, but if you want more than a couple things, you got to pay them for hosting, to upload your shit there and keep it there. So I just, once you get used to YouTube, where hosting is free, it is hard to go to something where you have to pay every month for it, right? All right, let me wrap this one up, you guys. I appreciate you hanging with me. This has been the Morgile. As always, y'all be good. If you want to support the channel, links will be below for Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. Oh, I just found out today that if you want to support via Venmo, www.venmo.com/TheMorgile, you need my last 4 of my phone number too, which is 7892. 7892. Links will be in the description. One love, you guys. Spread the word, spread the world, and peace out, everybody. Y'all be good.